Now, what a great fight between Tim Tszyu and Sebastian Fundora. Those guys showed what it is to be a great warrior. They went in there in the ring and they laid it all on the line. So my hat tips off to both of those guys, right? Now, I'm going to be honest. I had Sebastian Fundora winning that fight. I had Tim Tszyu winning that fight, undoubtedly, right? But certain events played out, right, that led the outcome of that fight changing. Tim Tszyu suffered a horrible cut on the top of his head that impaired his vision. And as you can see throughout the whole fight, he was struggling to see. And Sebastian Fundora, he finally did what we've been asking him to do, which was to use his physical gift, and he was able to keep Tim Tszyu at the end of that jab. So Sebastian Fundora, he did deserve that victory. Sebastian Fundora, he did what he had to do, right? Both guys were bloody. Sebastian Fundora's nose was busted. His nose was broken. His mouth was busted. Tim Tszyu had a nasty cut on the top of his head. I believe if Tim Tszyu wasn't injured and he didn't suffer that cut, I believe Tim Tszyu would have became victorious, but that didn't happen. But with that being said, remember I told you guys that Tim Tszyu been planting seeds, right? When it came to Errol Spence Jr. He's been saying stuff and been moving, right? Like Errol Spence Jr. was the next fight up. And now that Tim Tszyu didn't get that opportunity, Sebastian Fundora, he welcomes the fight with the Errol Spence Jr. Right? We all know Tim Tszyu manager, he came out, he said they're willing to relinquish the WBO belt to fight Errol Spence Jr. So my question is, are the PBC willing to let Sebastian Fundora, the 25-year-old Sebastian Fundora that just earned his first belt, right, in a very close fight with him and Tim Tszyu, relinquish that belt to go fight Errol Spence Jr.? Or they're willing to do that? Because I was watching a Blue Blood Sports TV video and he said something that made a lot of sense. Errol Spence Jr. has been the face of the PBC for years now. If you look at his pay-per-view numbers, he's been doing over 300,000 pay-per-view sales every fight. And I know a lot of people thought that Gervonta Tank Davis was the face of the PBC, but no, Gervonta Tank Davis only sold over 300,000 pay-per-view sales against Ryan Garcia. And Errol Spence Jr. did it against Danny Garcia, he did it against Kell Brook, he did it against Sean Porter, he did it against Terrence Bell Crawford. So Errol Spence Jr., he has been the face of the PBC for years now. So my question to y'all is, are y'all willing to sacrifice one of the money makers on the PBC, right? Y'all willing to turn Errol Spence Jr. from the big fish into a sacrificial lamb? Because Errol Spence Jr. coming off of a brutal knockout loss by the hands of Terrence Bell Crawford, it doesn't make sense for him to fight the guy that just defeated the undefeated Tim Tszyu at 154 pounds. It makes no sense. Business-wise, what will make sense is y'all put Errol Spence Jr. in there with somebody like, I don't know, Tony Harrison, Erickson Lubin, somebody, right, that y'all know that would test Errol Spence Jr., right? But y'all know Errol Spence Jr. will be victorious at the end, right? So you could get him prepared for Sebastian Fundora. Brian Mendoza, somebody. They got a lot of options over there on the PBC side. So my thing is, business-wise, that makes no sense for you to put Errol Spence Jr. in there with Fundora. Unless what I believe deemed to be true, that the PBC is now trying to build up Fundora so he can be a potential opponent for a Canelo Alvarez. Because y'all got to look at the paper trail, right? Jermell Charlo, he faced off at 154 pounds. Fundora fights at 154 pounds. Jermell Charlo moved up 3-weight division, so why not Fundora? Fundora is way bigger than Jermell Charlo. Fundora is 6'6", with an 80-inch arm reach. Canelo was saying that he doesn't want to entertain the Terrence Bell Crawford fight because Terrence Bell Crawford is too small. And we know that's not a problem, right, for Sebastian Fundora, because Sebastian Fundora is 6'6", with an 80-inch arm reach. So that would justify a Canelo Alvarez getting in the ring with a Sebastian Fundora. Both guys are Mexican, and this will be a very big fight. So I'm pretty sure this is what the PBC is going to try to do. Canelo Alvarez will be coming off of a win over Jaime Munguia. So this would be the perfect chance for them to try to incorporate Sebastian Fundora in there with the Canelo Alvarez. So they're going to show Terence Bud Crawford, listen, you're not going to get the winner of the fight, right? And you're not going to get the Canelo Alvarez fight. They're going to make sure, and they're going to try to punish Terence Crawford like what they did with the Manny Pacquiao fight, when they sabotaged the Manny Pacquiao fight. And then Errol Spence Jr. and Manny Pacquiao fight was announced. Right? They're going to do the same thing. They're going to try to show Terence Crawford that they run this. You can't get around it. Remember, Errol Spence Jr. was forced to make that fight because he didn't want to go in there and fight Keith Thurman. He didn't know what Keith Thurman was going to show up. So he had to face off against, it made more sense for him to face off against Terence Bud Crawford, the guy that he was supposed to fight. And if he lose to him, that's the guy that a lot of people thought you was going to lose to anyways. Then go in there and fight Keith Thurman and lose to a Keith Thurman. It makes no sense. But I believe that's the only way, right, Errol Spence Jr. is going to get in there with Sebastian Fundora. Unless the PBC is trying to build up Sebastian Fundora to make a fight with Canelo Alvarez. But they're going to continue to try to freeze out Terence Bud Crawford. I don't know what's next for Terence Bud Crawford. I guess he got to fight for a vacant belt. But it's sad to say that this is the world that we're living in, right? Guys are envious. You can't even say boxing because this is not boxing. Like I said, this is personal. Guys are envious of guys that they essentially have more than. Mayweather has a big ass house, mad cars, right? Made millions of dollars, something that Terence Crawford couldn't fathom in the sport of boxing. You understand what I'm saying? Mayweather's 50 and old. Mayweather defeated 23 champions. He has it all, but still, he's hating on Terence Bud Crawford. And you can see it by what he says, and you can see it by the action of the PBC. But I'm curious to see how this is going to play out. Let me know what y'all think in the comment section. Make sure y'all hit that like button. Make sure y'all hit that subscription button. Make sure y'all share this video if y'all enjoy this content. And I'm out.